We said earlier the Democratic Convention opens here in New York City on Monday. Gets underway this weekend, really, as 40,000 people with some connection begin to arrive. It's a big event in any city's life, even one as accustomed to the rest of the world's visitors as New York is. It's a very big event in New York City's life this year, for this is a town that could use a tonic. Here's ABC's John McKenzie.
New York is hosting the party and hoping the events of the week might improve this city's image. It could use a little help.
It's too hot, too congested, it's too busy for me.
Oh, it's too large, too huge, too big.
With all the crime and the traffic and the dirt.
Those are tourists. Polling those who live here showed 50% rate the quality of life in this city as hellish, and 60% said they would move if they could. Just this week, there were disturbances over alleged police brutality. Unemployment here is 11.5%. The city has lost 250,000 jobs over the last 3 years. The number of homeless have become impossible to ignore.
This Democratic Convention for New York is an opportunity.
Ken Aletta is a columnist for the New York Daily News.
It will not be a transforming event for New York City, but it can have an impact and improve both the morale and the image of the city of New York.
The city has spent more than $20 million preparing for the convention, sweeping and painting, even planting flowers on the road in from the airport, all in the hope of making delegates feel welcome. For the next week, the city will try to focus attention on New York's selling points, on its food and fashion, on business and entertainment. The convention will inject an estimated $180 million into the local economy, but some believe it can have a lasting psychological effect.
Many remember that 16 years ago, when the Democratic Convention was in New York in '76, that New York was in a real financial crisis, and this is seen as the uplift that led to the booming '80s.
But what kind of convention does this city need in the '90s?
A successful convention for us is one where the delegates leave saying this is the most wonderful city in the world.
Uh-huh. John McKenzie, ABC News, New York.
We'll be back in just a moment.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and the Person of the Week are brought to you by Just for Men.
He saved a life he was told was not worth saving. Did he make the right decision? Join a doctor's journey to find out. The gift of life.
Plus, it's the hottest product of the '90s, and this man claims it could even save your life. Watch 2020 tonight.
Finally this evening, our Person of the Week. And never a week goes by when we don't come upon some terrible circumstance for someone who has been struck by AIDS. It matters not whether they are famous or anonymous. AIDS forces an individual to make the most basic decisions, whether to quit or to struggle, whether to hide from the inevitable bigotry that still exists for people with AIDS, or try to teach other people that AIDS is not a good reason to shun a fellow human being. The young man we choose this week is old enough to be wise.
I don't feel sorry for myself, and I don't want nobody to feel sorry for me. I think it makes me angry more than anything. It makes me want to do something more about it to get it stopped.
John Keats is only 18. He's had AIDS for 3 years, and he is trying to do something about it.
The winner is?
John Keats.
John Keats came to our attention this week when he was named Extraordinary Teen of the Year by Noxema and Teen Magazine for the work he has done to raise money for AIDS research.
You don't know how much this means to me. But I was just happy to be here to be one of the 5, finalists, and when they called my name off, the feeling that I felt you can't really describe.
Last September, John organized a march for AIDS in his hometown of Canton, Illinois. 2,000 townspeople joined in, and many more bought T-shirts. John raised $20,000 for the Salk Institute for AIDS Research. At the time, John's mother was very apprehensive about the way her neighbors would respond.
In the beginning, we felt like we had to protect John from the community, and in the end, the community has protected John.
We've come a long ways in 10 years, I know that, because 10 years ago, they wouldn't even want me here. I've opened up people's ears, I think, a little bit around my community.
John has spent the last 3 years talking about the myths surrounding AIDS to as many people in Canton as would listen.
There's like 80%, I think, that are being better about it and are learning and wanting to learn. The other 20%, I don't know what their problem is. I don't know. It's either ignorance about it or they just have an initial fear. And that initial fear is hard for a lot of people to overcome.
John Keats was born and raised in Kenton.
I was a rambunctious kid when I was younger.
And that's how John's problem began. When he was 6, he was diagnosed as having a blood disease similar to hemophilia. Any cut or bruise could turn out to be fatal.
I did what the doctors told me not to do, and that's probably where I'm at today, because I was stubborn. I climbed trees, and I fell out of them. I went over the handlebars of my bikes, and so when that would happen, I'd have to go and I'd get a blood transfusion.
John's doctors believe he was 10 or 11 when he got the transfusion that was tainted with the HIV virus. John discovered he had AIDS when he was 15.
Everything kind of goes numb, and your whole plans for the future switch and change. At first, I thought about, suicide and that, because I didn't know if I could handle the stress. But then after I learned to deal with it, I talked to counselors and stuff. That's not the answer at all. They convinced me to turn around and turn it into something positive instead of negative.
Good. Real big eyes if you can. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good.
John's idea of doing something positive was to go public and become an educator. He learned as much as he could about how you get AIDS and how you take precautions against it. He is constantly speaking to school children.
When I go and do the talks and that, I'm nervous before, and I get butterflies in my stomach. But after I'm done, I kind of feel good, because I knew that maybe even if 2 or 3 kids out of 100 listen to me and are going to be safe and take precautions now, then that makes me feel good.
John Keats dreams of being an actor or a director, but that's on the back burner for now. He's too busy organizing another march for this September, bigger than last year's, to continue to help, in his own small way, find a cure for AIDS.
I don't know if there'll be one in time for me or not, but there's a whole bunch of people out there that have it, and it may be in time for some of them, so whatever it takes just to get it stopped, and that, so it'll be a little bit more safer planet to live on.
And so we choose John Keats' example far beyond his own hometown. Having conquered his own fear, he's trying to help other people conquer theirs. That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. We'll see you on Monday from the Democratic Convention site at Madison Square Garden. Have a nice weekend. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.